So, is it better to release a single every week? Or should you just wait until you've got an EP or an album's worth of music and then release that? What's up, guys? Brandon here from KDMR Music, the channel that teaches you how to succeed in the music business. Now, on this channel, we do videos about music marketing, different strategy tips, and then sometimes we answer questions from our audience on social media like we're doing in this video here. So if you are interested in that type of content, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. So this question comes from our Instagram, from Booking with Dez. Shout out to you. He says, "Hello, I have a question. Which one is better, releasing an album or EP, or just release singles every week on a Friday or Saturday?" Well, the answer to that question is it depends. And that's typically the answer you're going to get from a good lawyer and a good marketing strategist. It depends, and it depends on quite a few things. Now, you probably are asking this question because you saw Russ do an interview with Joe Budden, or I guess it's not an interview technically, it's his pull-up videos where he just talks to an artist or someone in the industry for an hour, maybe 2 hours. I think this interview clocked in at almost 2 hours, but in that video, Russ was detailing his strategy that he used to blow up, so to speak. And in case you are not familiar with Russ, Russ is an independent artist. Actually, I think he may be signed now. But the the point of the story is that Russ had been releasing these albums, something like 11 albums in the span of a few years, and wasn't really getting any traction with them. Then he decided, oh, you know what? People are actually consuming music in a different way. I'll just do one song at a time. So he dropped one song a week for like a year. I think maybe even a little bit longer than a year. And every song got more and more and more views on SoundCloud, and that was able to get him the attention that he needed. He got all kinds of sponsorships and things like that, and the rest is history. Now, a lot of those songs that he had released during that time period are platinum, 3 times platinum, 4 times platinum. The album that he released after the fact went platinum. So there's a lot that he was able to accomplish that started with releasing a song every week. Now, this could be a good strategy for you, but it also may not be the best strategy for you, and there's a few reasons for that, and I'm going to try to break those down here. So, more than the benefit that you get from releasing a song, right? Or an album, a lot of it is about momentum, right? Think about the traditional album rollout as, it was when we were growing up. Typically, you would get an artist would come out with their lead single, and it's like, oh snap, and that starts making noise. Then you might see some interviews, they talk about the single, they talk about the album. Some writer may say, oh man, I've been to the studio and the album is amazing. And so there's all this teasing, usually for about 3 to 4 months. And so then maybe 3 months after the first single comes out, the album comes out. There may or may not have been another single. Yeah, usually it's one single, wait about a month, maybe 2, another single, followed by the album, followed again by another single, and some of the more successful albums go on to have 4 and 5 singles that come out of them, right? Or that's how it was in the past. But now that we're in the streaming era, it's just like there's so much music day in and day out. Sometimes it's like, okay, I don't know what the best strategy is. I could try to tease this, but the reality is if I put out a song, in 3 months, no one's going to care about the album. So what you see now are very short release windows. For example, we knew that J. Cole and the whole Dreamville team did those rap camp sessions they were talking about. They did those back in January. But we didn't really know when the Revenge of the Dreamers album was coming out until about 2 weeks before it came out. Actually, 1 week. And then what was the release window? You had a couple of songs that came out within that week span. Then on the Wednesday before the Friday, you got a short YouTube documentary. Then on Friday, all the songs are here, right? And the reason for that is because you have to capture people's attention. We are in an attention-based economy. So it's not about what you're releasing, what you're producing, but it's about how many people you can get to pay attention to what you're doing. And science says people's attention spans are shorter than ever now. So it's probably a lot more difficult, unless you are one of those major artists, to have one of those release windows that last 3 or 4 months. So, is it better to release a single every couple of weeks or every week, or release an album? That just depends on how much attention you can get for that release. Now, if you are a bigger artist, if you've got more of a buzz around your music, then yes, it certainly makes sense to make as big of a moment as you can and go ahead and pack it with as much music as possible. I mean, obviously, if you want your album to chart, you got to have multiple songs on it. We've seen this with artists like Chris Brown. Chris Brown, his last album had like 45 songs on it, and his newest album that came out 2 weeks ago has 30 songs on it, right? And, so the more people that he has that are his fans, that he can say, hey, this album's out and there's 30 songs, well, the more people listen to those songs, even if less people listen to it, it's 30 streams to get through the album. So that's technically 2 album streams when it comes to revenue. And that is enough to boost his chart position even more. So, yeah, if you're a bigger artist, if you've got fans that you can energize and engage for your releases, then it makes sense to release albums. Some people like to release albums or EPs just for art's sake. It's just, I don't want to just put out one song at a time. I want you to enjoy these all together. And that's perfectly fine too. But again, it's going to be about how much attention you can garner for that. Now, the great thing about the album or the single a week strategy is if one song doesn't work, it doesn't mean the whole project didn't work. You can try it again next time. But the sad part, or the difficult part about releasing a song every single week, is sometimes it can be hard to gauge what the results are, because every song is different. People are going to respond to songs differently, and sometimes, depending on how well your marketing funnel is set up, it's hard to tell who listened to the song last week and is now listening to the song this week and brought more people to it, right? So the very, very long answer to your question is, it depends. If you are a newer artist, it is probably better to release a single or a few singles, as opposed to putting all of your energy into making an album and then no one listens to it. So that is the reality of the situation. But even more important than deciding what format you're going to go with, you have to understand that no matter what format you go with, if people do not know about your release, then it's not going to be successful. Now, this question was actually one that I sort of went into actually over a year ago. I did a video called Singles versus Albums, talking about the pros and cons of each approach, right? Now, that didn't take into account the releasing a single every single week strategy. Now, what is important about releasing a single every single week is making sure that you have a way to track fans and get attention, right? And understand that it's probably going to be slow progress. You're probably going to get 20 plays the first week and maybe 24 plays the next week, right? So you've got to have the patience to really ride that out, because if you just do 4 songs in 4 weeks and then you just fizzle out, I mean, it didn't really do you any better than waiting and waiting to build up that anticipation. And there's one thing about people's attention spans that's difficult. Once you have my attention, you better keep it, right? You've got to make sure that each song is better than the last or strikes a different tone than the last, so that it's not this thing where, oh, I've seen this, I know this thing, we've done this before, this is a one-trick pony. That's what you don't want to happen when you're releasing a song every week. So the most important thing is making sure that you have attention and you can keep that attention. If you can do that with an album, great. More likely, if you're newer, you should do that with singles. And if you want to do the every single week thing if you think you can do that without being burnt out, go for it. But understand the hard part is going to be keeping people's attention. So I hope that answers your question. If you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment below if you have any questions for me. Again, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more videos. And I'll see you in the next one very soon. Peace.